Hey good people, I am excited to be with you today. My name is Michelle Gomez and I am going to share with you my career journey. Yes, my career journey. Oh my God. Now I'm going to do a totally different video on my entrepreneurial journey, and it's going to be really interesting how I navigate this story. I know there's going to be obviously a lot of things are interconnected. So some things I have to mention, but I can't get into details. So hopefully when you listen to this first and then the entrepreneur journey, all of it will make sense. And because I just feel like there's corporate lessons and business lessons, and I'm hoping that I can, just give each video its dedicated time, right? So where do we begin? I think the first thing is I graduated high school in June 2000. Riverdale High School, Riverdale, Georgia, Clayton County, Clayco. Definitely about that SWAT life, okay? No, so don't count that. I'm not gangster. So I graduated high school in 2000. I moved to Houston. My very first job was a cashier at Sears at West Oaks Mall. And I was 17 and I was able to meet some phenomenal young ladies and really kind of, form my first group of friends out of high school, especially since I moved here. So I started working pretty quickly. So, definitely gathered those friendships pretty quickly through work. And I started school at Warden County Junior College for a year because I was out of state fees. And then I transferred to the University of Houston. So when I graduated high school, I thought I was going to study computer science because once again, it was 2000. So you're hearing this thing, I can't even say it was tech, but it was just computers, right? Computers are the way to go, or it's the future. Computer science, struggle nation. Next thing, oh, my parents are African immigrant parents, so, you don't have many options. Medical. And I don't like blood. So pharmacy seemed like a tangible idea at the time. I was a pre-pharmacy major, that's struggle nation too. And needless to say though, I was a pharmacy tech. So I was struggling at U of H. I went to Houston Community College and they had a pharmacy tech program. I did that for like 6 months, but it was overlapping 2 semesters. And I did really well in that program. And what I've realized about myself, I'm the type of person, teach me what I need to know. Teach me don't give me all of this fluff. I don't want to take art history to graduate. Just give me the hardcore classes. So I did well in that program and I had 3 internships, right? 3 clinicals. And all of my jobs they offered me a job, right? Each internship offered me a job. My first one was at a Walgreens, the second one was at a home health company, and the third one was a hospital. And obviously the first 2 offered me a job, but I still had other intern requirements that I had to fulfill. And obviously they were going to receive more students. So I just stayed at the pharmacy. I was working part-time. I think I was making $11 or $12 an hour as a pharmacy tech, which was really good as a college student compared to my friends that were working. And once again, this is like 2002. I ain't got no bills. I'm living at home. I'm chilling. I think I just had to pay my cell phone bill and a car note, so that was more than enough. And car notes were like $300 at that time. So I was doing really good. And what happened in the December 2004, the hospital closed. I think I was 21. And I definitely fell into a depression. And at that time, I call it my pre-quarter life crisis. Because at that time, I felt like everything that was told to me was a lie. I was struggling in college, so by this time I was nowhere near graduating with a college degree, so that 4 years was out the window. People are always sick. The hospital's always going to be open. Have a career in the medical field. You'll never need a job. You know, all of these things these parents tell you. And the hospital's closing. And the hospital was closing because of non-paying patients. And at that time, I couldn't say it was in a bad neighborhood or not. I used to live pretty close to the neighborhood. I just moved. But non-paying patients, meaning that patients don't have insurance, right? And literally babies having babies. A lot of teenage pregnancy. And you got to take care of people. You got to take care of people. You know, you got to, in a hospital, you have to get people stabilized before whatever, you know, they can go home. So I remember, oh my God, I remember literally running late to work from school, running late to work, and rushing in the pharmacy, put my stuff down, and my boss hands me my check. And he was like, go cash it. And I was like, I'm so sorry I'm late. And he was like, go cash your check. I was like, no, I'm late. And he was like, if you don't cash it today, you might not have a check. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go cash the check, and I come back, and he was like, go talk to HR. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, I am sorry I'm late. I've probably been late too many times. And talk to HR. They give me my unemployment packet, and I was just like, wow, you know, like, okay, like, this is it. So needless to say, Christmas, I mean, the little Christmas I do have with my mom and my brother, it was, you know, it was just a crazy time. And so this was like 2004, and I didn't know what to do. Of course, I had to wait a little bit because of the holiday season, so I was applying to other places, and it was just hard because everywhere else at that time, I was going to interviews, but like I remember interviewing at Conroe and Clear Lake, and these places were like at least a 45 to 60 minute drive from me, and they wanted me as part-time or PRN, and so it's like no one was hiring me. So it was just very, very sad time. Literally like depressed at that time. And what happened, so this is like my first entrepreneur journey. So I started doing some freelance work. Did that for several years. That bubble burst, my personal bubble burst. And then fast forward to like 2006, 7, I was trying to get into real estate. I got my loan officer license. And if you're familiar with real estate, like if you're a new agent, you need to work with a broker. So it's the same thing as a loan officer. You need to work with a mortgage broker that can, you know, pretty much hold your license. And I was having a hard time finding a job, you know, and City Financial, formerly City Financial, hired me. But because of the corporate entity, they didn't care about my license or whatever. But shout out to Agnes Torres who took a chance on me. I really appreciate that. And so yeah, City Financial hired me. I think I was making maybe $12 to $15 an hour as an account executive, but I was part-time working 37 hours. And it was very annoying because I was classified as part-time. I wasn't able to receive the benefits of a full-time employee, the bonuses of a full-time employee. And those are things that you don't know until you get in there, right? Of course, oh, you're hired. And then they go over the bonus structure and it's like, great. So I would hit my numbers, but the way the bonus was, it was like the branch had to hit their numbers. And because there was full-time employees there, those numbers were higher. So it just sucked. And I remember doing a loan for a client, and he told me, R.I.P. this man, God, so many memories talking through this. But he told me, he said, anytime a company changes the bonus structure, it's not for the benefit of the employees. And I was like, yeah, I see that. You're right, right? So that was interesting. So I was at City Financial for a little bit less than a year. At that time, I started taking online classes at the University of Phoenix. They had a call center here in Houston. I was recruited. I think they were going to pay me $15 an hour. So I was probably making $12 at City Financial. They were going to pay me $15 an hour. So I had a 3-month probation period. If I got on full time, they were going to take care of my tuition. So it's like, I knew this was a risk. This was the first time I felt like I was taking a risk. I knew this was a risk, but it was more money. I was going to get paid weekly because it was a staffing agency at the time. And if I get on, I'm a good worker. If I get on, my tuition's taken care of. I didn't last, after training, I didn't last 2 months at the University of Phoenix. And we were calling people that inquired about the school maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And it would be guilt trip phone calls like, hey, you know, did you ever get a degree? And they're like, no. And it's like, well, just think, if you started when you first contacted us, you would have been finished by now. Oh my God, it sucked. It sucked. And that was the first time that I knew I needed to quit a job. The job literally made me sick. Like, I went home and threw up. And I knew it was my last day because I left my badge there and everything. And then they sent me an email like, hey, you're fired, but you can come back and bring your badge. I was like, oh, it's in the desk. Like, I'm out. I knew it wasn't meant to be. So there was that. And then we go back to Struggle Nation. Eventually, so it was like February 2008, started working at JP Chase in their call center here. And I think that's when things really kind of started to happen for me. If something about the finance, the banking, finance, real estate, obviously the crash eventually happened. So it was, for me, it was the best job at the right time because, and I would tell college students, if you can, things are changing now because of technology, but if you can work at a bank as a teller, do it. Because that's where you're going to get your financial literacy from, unfortunately. And I was seeing, you know, you're looking at these people's accounts and it's like, okay, so this is how money works. This is how the bank works. This is how money flows. And you're seeing people with negative $300. Hell, I used to be that person, right? And you're seeing someone, or, you know, if you're talking to someone, it's like, yeah, I deposited a check last week. I just wanted to know if it cleared. And I was like, yeah, it cleared. And they're like, what's my available balance? Your available balance is $1,758.36. And it's like, I didn't even know I could read that large of a number because I've never seen it. And I definitely never seen it in the context of money. And I was like, things are possible. Things are possible. And that working at a bank is, especially if you're, you know, retail customer service wise, personal banker, teller, that's an experience. And if you can get that experience as a college student or a new grad, I would encourage it, even if it's for 1 or 2 years, because the exposure is priceless. So I did that. About a year in, moved over. I started working in the safe deposit box vault. And JP Chase bought WAMU, so we were going through the merger. So the vault went from Baton Rouge to Houston. So I helped with that. And then change of management, got fired. And I knew I should have left, but I was too afraid to leave because I was dependent on money. And it was I transferred to University of Houston, Victoria. I was in my last semester of school, so I was making great progress with my education at this time. And Chase actually took care of tuition reimbursement for me one semester, and I was doing good. Like, this was my last semester. I was like, I'm about to get out this. It's taking 18 hours, and I got fired. I got let go, and things were bad, and I knew I should have left. I just didn't see how I could leave. And I was like, you know what? I got this money stacked up. I'm just going to focus on my last semester, and that's what I did. So it took me 11 years to get my degree, and that was a journey. That was definitely a journey. So I graduated, and then I got on with Invesco Investment Services as a client services rep. I was there for 2 years. And then I left to start my real business as Line 25 Consulting, what many of y'all know me for. So that started in 2013. Now, mind you, I definitely have some obstacles that first 6-7 years of my business. So there's a time where I was working at a group home part-time. I was working at a group home full-time, making minimum wage, $7.25 an hour, while operating my business. And I did that because I was working nights, because I wanted to be available during the day to tend to clients, especially in person at that time, working on client projects. But I wasn't making enough money. I wasn't charging enough money. And that's why I need a whole video on my entrepreneurial journey. So it's funny because I actually worked at the group home in college. I worked at the group home in college, and then to literally go back, 10 years, and go back there and making minimum wage. You talk about ego. It was hard. And but I'll say this is one thing I stand by, because I don't, pride is something else. But a lot of people worry about salary, and I say sometimes you have to worry about income before you can salary. Like, you have to get the income in. The money has to come in before you can worry about salary. And fast forward a little bit, I got to go back to one more thing. But now, I'm doing good in my business. I'm doing very well in my business. And recruiters reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm so nonchalant. And these are recruiters that are looking for high dollar marketing managers, VP of marketing roles. So I know these jobs are going to be 70, 80, 90,000 plus, depending on location, which is pretty much equivalent to what my business is making right now. But it's worth a phone call, because you just don't know. And then sometimes, even though my business is doing good financially, it's just company perks, that could be like, hey, I'll entertain the phone call. But it feels so good to interview when you're not desperate, right? So that's the thing. So that's why I'm like, sometimes you have to get income in before you can worry about salary. So I did that. And then, I worked at Remington College. I was a adjunct instructor there. I did I guess they call it the business classes. I did a career orientation class or something like that, and Microsoft Office. So I taught that to the students that were looking to be a medical assistant, things of that nature. So I did that for about a year and a half. I actually really liked that job because I've always wanted to be a teacher, a professor. I always wanted, my goal, like, going back to like 2013, because I finished my master's then. I was like, I want my master's because I want to have my business and I want to be an adjunct instructor part-time. And as an adjunct, that can flow my business. It didn't pan out the way I thought it was. Now they want PhDs. By the time I got my master's, they want PhDs. I'm like, come on now. But so that was a pretty cool gig. They were paying me $25 an hour, if I'm not mistaken. But it was a crazy schedule. I taught class from like 8 to 1, split shift, and then come back from 6 to 11. And the school was about 45 minutes away from me without traffic. And it was just tough, but I thugged it out. And then Hurricane Harvey hit that area really, really bad. So a lot of students dropped out because they got to take care of their families, low enrollment, reduced hours. And then I just eventually quit because, you know, I couldn't hang on. You get used to making a certain income, you need consistency, and that just wasn't there anymore. So I did that, I think, for 18 months, about a year and a half. And then in August 2018, I started working at a law firm as a marketing manager. So technically, the law firm was my first marketing job, 5 years removed from my marketing degree. So I got bachelor's in finance, second degree in marketing. And I was there for exactly 2 years. And I decided to leave for a couple of different reasons. But once again, that voice in my head was like, hey, you know, it's time to go. Give yourself 6 months, which would have been the top of this year, 2021, and you can go. And unfortunately, by the time I got back on vacation, that plan was expedited, and I decided to leave. So that 6 months turned into maybe 6 weeks if we include the vacation, 5 weeks max. Really interesting period, but I learned a lot at the law firm. I appreciate all of these managers and companies just taking a chance on me, because it's literally been a roller coaster ride. And part of it's my fault. I don't want to say like in the grand scheme, the big thing is not being stable. And I always say this, corporate America is hard. Like, people talk about entrepreneurship. That's hard too. They're both hard. It's like, my thing now is like, pick your poison, right? You just have to pick which one. And I think definitely entrepreneurship maybe provides a little bit more freedom, but you're working for your clients. You're reporting to your clients. If you don't hunt, you don't eat, right? And whereas if you have a job, depending on the job, you can probably coast and still get paid, right? So I feel like I struggled in corporate America, especially in my finance career. I don't think I ever had the examples or the mentorship that I needed in order for me to stay with one company, let alone the industry. And another thing is, once you get into the investment side of finance, it's heavily regulated. So they want to know, like, are you investing, you know, when I was at Invesco, they had a preferred investor list, and then you were supposed to submit a request before and after you decided to make a trade. So if you decided to invest in Amazon, they wanted to know when you put that money up. If you decide to withdraw cash out on Netflix, they want to know about that. And I was like, this is too much. And company, industry, it was just too much for me. And marketing was calling my name. Marketing was still calling my name. So I decided to bounce. But that's been my career journey. And it's been tough. It's been a lot of lessons learned work-wise, as well as learning about myself, right? Self-awareness. And I remember I used to, like, I'm 38. I feel good. I feel so good right now. But I definitely remember when I was in my 20s and literally looking up to people in their 40s, like, you've lived a long life. Like, how do you know so much? And people know things because of their job. Because when you have a job and you're working or interacting with these different industries, you pick up stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's it. Oh, okay. So, needless to say, it's been great. It's been great. Any regrets? Absolutely. Absolutely. I wish I did a better job saving and investing. Of course, the money that I was saving and investing, I've always pulled it out because I was trying to survive as an entrepreneur, right? I know better, but I'm trying to pay rent. I'm trying to survive as an entrepreneur. So I wish I would have stayed at Invesco a little bit longer. I wish I heard and understood the concept of a side hustle. I would have stayed longer to build my business. I would have saved more money. I would have invested more money in order for me to have a better transition. I wish I would have listened to my intuition, to my gut, when it was time to quit those jobs at certain times. I wish I created plans, exit strategies, and transition plans a little bit sooner and better. But once again, all of those things make me the woman I am today, right? So, gotta do part 2, the entrepreneur journey. So if you haven't already, like and subscribe to this channel. More videos are on its way. So tell me, what are your thoughts about this? What about your life journey? Do you have a channel I need to follow so I can learn about you? Put all of that in the comments. And then once you do that, go over to Instagram and follow me there. And remember, I believe in you. Stay blessed, good people.